Have you ever wondered why certain people consistently achieve extraordinary success while others with similar intelligence and opportunities remain stuck? Why is it that some people move forward when others spin their wheels, feel exhausted and frustrated, or trapped in the same cycles year after year? I've thought about this question a lot, and the difference isn't talent, luck, or even hard work alone. The real secret, or the hidden factor that separates these high achievers from everyone else, is clarity. But what happens if you live your entire life and you never have clarity? Without it, even your hardest work and efforts lead nowhere. It's like sprinting at full speed on a treadmill. You'll spend all your energy, but you never truly move forward. You see, without clarity, opportunities are going to pass you right by unnoticed. Months or years will disappear, and at the end of your life, you'll be stuck wondering, where the hell did all the time go? In fact, science shows that without clear goals and direction, your brain becomes wired for anxiety, indecision, and constant fear of failure. And that's no way to live. Instead of building powerful neural pathways of success, you're going to reinforce stress and confusion that make every decision you make feel overwhelming. But today, I'm going to share with you the transformative power of clarity because it isn't just beneficial. I believe clarity equals power. So welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Lucas. I've built tech companies that have done over 9 figures in revenue, and I'm on a mission to uncover the science of leadership. So what is clarity? Simply put, clarity means knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, and precisely how you're going to achieve it. With clarity, every step is powerful and decisive, but without it, life becomes a cycle of missed opportunities, endless regrets, and wasted potential. Now, clarity is a competitive advantage, but it's also a fundamental skill that's behind every breakthrough. You're going to have to make a critical choice by the end of this video. Are you going to activate your power and become unstoppable? Or are you going to stay unclear, remain stuck, and watch as others achieve the life that could have been yours? So if you're ready to escape frustration and stop wasting your potential, we're going to unlock what clarity is and how you can apply it to transform your power today. Here's a crucial truth that most people overlook. Success is never accidental on a long enough time horizon. And those who achieve extraordinary outcomes don't just stumble into them. They act with deliberate clarity towards defined objectives. Think about all the great achievers you admire, whether it's leaders, athletes, or entrepreneurs. What separates them isn't necessarily superior talent or opportunities. It's their consistent action. They know exactly what they're aiming for, and that gives them the power to persist even when everyone else quits. In life, we all know that challenges will appear, but clarity transforms those challenges and alchemizes them into opportunities. When you have it, setbacks become stepping stones, and it guides you rather than holds you back. When you're clear, your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear, it becomes calmer and it allows you to take bold, decisive action without hesitation. It also creates a mental map. It empowers you to act boldly, even when things get tough. Simply put, the clearer your goals are, the stronger your actions and discipline will be. And the stronger your actions, the more powerful and impactful your results will become. This is the essence of what we're going to dive into on how clarity equals power. Here's something remarkable though. Clarity doesn't just influence your mindset, it rewires your brain. You see, your brain is remarkably flexible. Think of it like Play-Doh. It can be molded. And in fact, it is reshaped throughout our entire lifespans. Neuroscientists call this phenomenon neuroplasticity. It's your brain's extraordinary ability to reorganize itself by creating and strengthening new connections between neurons. Clarity lights up your prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's command center, and it helps you make smarter, faster, and clearer decisions. Imagine you're walking through a dense forest on a narrow trail. Now, the first time you travel a new path, it's difficult. The bushes might be thick, the ground's uneven or sharp, but each time you clearly and consistently walk that trail, it becomes clearer, smoother, and easier to travel. It's the same way with our brains. Each clear action we repeat carves deep neural pathways that make clarity automatic and effortless in our lives. Scientists at University College of London studied this. And they did this study on London taxi drivers. You see, they memorized thousands of complicated streets in the UK to qualify for their job. Using brain scans, researchers found the hippocampus, a part of the brain responsible for memory, navigation, and thinking, it was significantly larger in taxi drivers compared to regular people. The more clearly and consistently drivers practiced navigating these complex streets, the stronger and larger this area of their brain became. Now, this powerful discovery proves that clarity is not just a mental concept. It physically changes our brains and it prepares it for higher levels of success. Neuroscientists have shown that just 15 minutes of daily clear visualization can increase the chances of hitting your target by over 50%. Consider the impact this would have on your daily life. With each clear and focused action towards your goal, you're physically sculpting your brain into a powerful machine that's wired for achievement. Over time, these neural connections become so strong and so clear that decisive actions become your second nature. You won't just think, you'll act without hesitation. Now, let's take this neuroscience insight and apply it immediately to your life. What's one clear, specific action that you've been delaying? Be honest. And right now, I want you to commit publicly. Write it down in a comment or share it and start reshaping your neural landscape towards courage, achievement, and your unstoppable clarity. There's a story I read a little while ago about a guy who embodies this idea. His name's Chuck Feeney, and chances are you've never heard of him, but he's no ordinary guy. His story vividly demonstrates how clarity of purpose creates extraordinary impact. You see, Chuck was an Irish-American entrepreneur who co-founded Duty Free Shoppers. It's a massive retail chain, and you've probably seen it in airports worldwide. He became one of America's wealthiest men. But unlike most billionaires, Chuck Feeney didn't just chase luxury or Sybaritic excess. Instead, he had a remarkable clarity similar to Andrew Carnegie. You see, he chose to intentionally give away his entire multi-billion-dollar fortune during his lifetime. And he did it without pomposity. He did it quietly and anonymously, but with absolute conviction. While others pursued extravagance, Chuck Feeney wore a simple watch and he flew economy class. His clear values and his unmistakable clarity gave him immense power to change the world. His donations funded hospitals, universities, medical research, and education globally, which transformed millions of lives. Chuck Feeney's clarity created his legacy, not rusting or rotting mansions, but of immense lasting impact. His story proves a powerful truth that we all know. Real success isn't about what we get. It's about how powerfully we direct our resources towards purposeful action. I bet you've seen clarity create incredible impact, but how can you make it practical for your life? Here's a simple yet powerful formula that can translate clarity into your power. Grab a pen and paper or pull up a notepad and write down step one. Clearly define your exact aim, not vaguely, but vividly. You need to know exactly what success looks like, feels like, and how you'll recognize it before you've even achieved it. And step two, you're going to take immediate action right after this video because clarity eliminates hesitation. When you know exactly what you want, your next step is obvious and it compels you to act immediately with no excuses and no delays. Step three is to closely monitor your results. Clarity demands that you pay attention. This is called self-auditing. Notice what's working well and what's not. Clearly assess your progress at every step. And don't be afraid to adjust and refine your approach. In Silicon Valley, they call this pivoting. If something isn't working, adjust, adapt, pivot. But even if you do pivot, don't lose your momentum or focus. When you follow this formula, clarity transforms intention into action, action into results, and results into lasting success. You see, your brain has a built-in goal detector called a reticular activating system, or RAS. And when you clearly define your goals, your RAS activates naturally, making your brain seek out solutions and opportunities. Imagine the RAS as your brain's personal AI. Once you clearly tell it what to look for, it starts showing you the best path forward. And the clearer your objectives are, the more powerful your actions will be. And that's how you transform your clarity into immense power. You see, your brain listens closely to every thought you have, and it responds accordingly. Neuroscientists have discovered that the way you talk to yourself directly changes or alters your brain's chemistry. When you engage in positive and clear self-talk, your brain releases powerful chemicals like dopamine or serotonin. Those naturally occurring chemicals will boost your happiness, discipline, and focus. But if your internal dialogue is negative, confusing, or fearful, then your brain produces stress chemicals like cortisol. Those cause anxiety, indecision, and self-doubt. I recently heard a great story about a French pilot and a writer who found himself stranded all alone in the Sahara Desert. Not a great place to be. His name was Antoine, and his plane crashed during World War II. Now, he was facing certain death, but Antoine could have easily panicked. Instead, he chose clarity within himself. He consciously spoke positive, calm words, and that guided his internal dialogue away from despair and towards hope. This clear and focused inner conversation actively lowered the stress chemicals in his brain. It boosted creativity, calmness, and resilience. Now, eventually, Antoine survived the whole ordeal, and he transformed his experience into one of the most beloved and best-selling books in history. It's called The Little Prince. Antoine's clear, positive internal dialogue reshaped his brain's chemistry in a way that increased his chances of survival and unlocked his creative power. But this example isn't just inspiring. It's scientific proof of the brain's incredible potential. By clearly mastering your internal dialogue, you take control over your brain's chemistry. That empowers you emotionally, intellectually, and physically. Clear internal dialogue will transform uncertainty into courage, confusion into clarity, and all of these challenges into unlimited opportunities. I want you to imagine that you want to be a master of something new. Maybe it's a business skill, a sport, or even improving your relationships, but you don't know where to begin. There's a powerful shortcut known as neural modeling. And how it works is you clearly identify someone who already excels at what you want to achieve. Then it precisely replicates their beliefs, strategies, and behaviors. So here's how you apply neural modeling in your life. Look around and identify someone who has exactly the life you want to live. But you need to go deeper than that. Go beyond the surface. Understand their core beliefs and their mindset. Replicate those mental strategies, decisions, and actions through reverse osmosis and embody their physiology. That's their posture, their breathing, their movements. This will reinforce that trail to your success. When you model excellence, you discover what works and you eliminate what doesn't. This empowers rapid results that will save you years of trial and error. Remember, if you can clearly model, it will lead to accelerated success. Now, those who constantly achieve extraordinary results, they do share a common set of personality types and characteristics. But it's not what you think. What it really is a clear desire about exactly what their aim is. This fuels their discipline. Then they have a clear belief in their own capacity to succeed. They think, why not me and why not now? And they also have a well-defined plan that allows them to take purposeful steps towards their aims and objectives. And then their actions align with their purpose. This drives an unwavering discipline, like a waterfall. But here's the critical insight. Each of these powerful traits relies entirely on the bedrock of clarity. Without clarity of desire, your passion fades. Without clarity of belief, your confidence wavers. And without clarity of strategy, action stalls. Without clarity of values, your discipline crumbles. But above all, clarity amplifies the power of each of these traits and transforms potential into an avalanche of momentum. The clearer you are, the more potent your passions, beliefs, strategies, and values become. In other words, clarity isn't just a trait, it's the foundational strength upon which your future success depends. Clarity is the common thread that connects every trait of every champion throughout cultures and languages. And that's precisely what you're going to harness for your power. But you also need energy. It's the essential fuel behind every goal you pursue, every dream you chase, and all the success in life. Let's face it, without energy, nothing moves forward. But energy alone isn't enough. It has to be directed like a river. Bill Campbell was a legendary Silicon Valley coach who mentored Steve Jobs. And he famously taught this principle to Steve Jobs. He said, your energy as a leader sets the tone for everyone around you. If you're exhausted or unclear, your team feels it and performance suffers. You see, Bill Campbell understood a profound truth that clearly directed energy creates unshakable momentum. Clarity gives your energy purpose, direction, and impact. It transforms your energy from something scattered and fleeting into laser-like focus, and it propels you towards your goals every single day without wavering. When you channel your energy towards defined outcomes, you too will become unstoppable. But we all know that success does not happen in isolation. Nearly every extraordinary achievement or great company comes from the ability to have meaningful relationships. Here again, though, clarity is the most important part because real bonding power isn't rooted in the absence of clarity. When you communicate your intentions, you understand others' needs, and then you authentically connect. That's the story of Morris Chang. He's the founder of TSMC. And if you don't know them, they're the largest chip maker by far in the AI boom. But after a major setback in his career, Morris could have retired. But at age 56, he clearly defined a new vision for his life. He wanted to build a semiconductor company centered around empowering his people. His clarity about how relationships and trust underpin success, well, he put that into the DNA of TSMC and made it one of the most important companies on earth. Just like Morris, your success multiplies exponentially when you invest in your people. You have to communicate appreciation and respect to all ranks of file. You have to understand the emotional needs of others and be sympathetic towards it. And you have to express your vision so people are inspired to join you on your vision. Strong relationships aren't random. They come from clear, intentional connections. And the more you express appreciation, trust, and value, the stronger your relationships become. And then those relationships amplify your power to destroy any goal you have. But of all the skills that shape your life, communication is the most important by a mile. Mastering communication means going deeper than just speaking effectively. It requires clarity, both within yourself and towards others. Great communicators define their internal dialogue, and they ensure that their mindset remains positive. They also articulate their vision, inspire others to take action. Lee Kuan Yew is one of the best examples of this. He's a visionary leader who transformed a tiny, impoverished, mosquito-infested island into the global powerhouse we know as Singapore. Lee didn't just have a vision. He communicated it with absolute clarity, and he allowed millions of people to understand and rally behind his dream. That communication gave him the power to achieve the impossible. Or consider Ferruccio Lamborghini, who started by manufacturing tractors on a farm. You see, one day he wrote to Enzo Ferrari about a problem with his clutch, but Enzo dismissed his feedback. But Lamborghini didn't give up there. He responded with clear determination, and he built Lamborghini sports cars by communicating a clear message to the world about innovation and quality. You see, clear determination fueled his incredible success. How else do you go from tractors to supercars? Your internal and external communication will determine your personal impact. The clearer your internal dialogue is, the greater your confidence and resilience will be. Then the clearer your external communication is, the more effectively you will inspire others to gather around your cause. Clarity will transform your communication into a powerful tool that lets you warp your reality and magnifies your influence in the world. But your emotional state will also directly impact your performance. Many people think that their emotions are unpredictable or beyond their control, but that's simply not true. Emotional mastery begins and ends with clarity, especially a clear visualization. And there's no more prescient example of this than the NBA superstar Steph Curry. Early in his career, Steph Curry faced serious setbacks due to repeated injuries. But we all know Steph is built different. He mastered his emotional state through clear and deliberate visualizations every day. He didn't just practice physically. He would regularly picture himself making perfect shots in his mind. He imagined every detail, including the sound of the ball swishing through the net, the feel of it leaving his fingertips, and the roar of the crowd afterwards. Neuroscientists have studied this visualization method extensively, and what they found is something astonishing, that when you vividly and clearly imagine doing something, your brain activates the identical areas as it does when you physically perform the same action. In fact, it's often repeated that your brain can't tell the difference between an imagined event and one that you've actually lived and experienced. For example, researchers from the Cleveland Clinic demonstrated that people who clearly would visualize exercises gained strength, and basketball players who spent time clearly visualizing themselves making free throws dramatically improved their accuracy, even without practicing or visiting a basketball court. So when Steph Curry clearly visualized making a perfect three-point shot, his brain believed he was actually doing it. That triggered powerful chemical responses. His brain released dopamine and serotonin, which boosted his confidence, sharpened his focus, and refined his physical skill, all from just visualizing it. This means your brain doesn't just react to reality. It reacts powerfully to the clarity of imagination. And the clearer and more vivid your visualization is, the stronger your brain's emotional and physical response becomes. By clearly defining how you want to feel and vividly picturing it in your mind, it gives you control over your emotional state. Clarity will transform anxiety into confidence. In short, it's not just emotional control. It's biologically proven. But every moment of your life, your mind will create internal representations. These are images, sounds, and feelings, and all of these combined determine how we experience and navigate reality. Most people, though, will live their entire lives doing this unconsciously. Carl Jung talks about this. But when you master those internal representations, you unlock power. There's a great origin story about the founder of Patagonia. And early in his climbing career, he became frustrated by climbing equipment that was damaging the environment. Instead of accepting things as they were, he clearly would visualize a better alternative. Then he reshaped his internal representations and he turned his frustration into clear purpose. This clarity inspired him to innovate reusable climbing gear, which later built Patagonia, an iconic brand that's synonymous with sustainability. You listening to this today hold the same exact power. I want you to try this simple exercise right now. Visualize a joyful memory, but clearly visualize it. Bring it closer, make it bigger, brighter, and louder. Feel all the sensations and joy, and let it intensify until you've clearly controlled your internal imagery. Now, do the opposite and think of a negative memory. Push it far away, shrink it down, make it dimmer. Instantly, its emotional power crumbles. Clarity in controlling these internal representations gives you direct power over your emotions, beliefs, and actions. And rather than relying on external circumstances, you become a master of your internal experiences. And the clearer your internal representations or your visualization is, then the more empowered and purposeful all of your life actions become. Have you ever set a vague goal for yourself? Like, I just want to be happy, or all I want is money, or all I want is success. And then you find yourself years later still stuck and unfulfilled. See, the problem isn't motivation, it's a lack of clarity. The truth is, vague goals rob you of your power. Clarity, on the other hand, gives you something concrete to shoot at, like a target for an archery range. So let's quickly recap and experience how we can apply this in your life. Imagine your goal is something a little abstract, like freedom. It sounds great, but how do you clearly measure freedom? Let's make it clear and actionable today. Right now, vividly imagine what your freedom looks like to you. Sit the way you'd sit on the beach when you're free. Breathe the way you'd breathe, and clearly visualize all the scenes and sounds. Notice your facial expression when you're free. Instantly, you feel more free inside, right? Why? It's because clarity allows immediate action, and that produces immediate results. But temporary feelings are not enough. True power comes from sustained clarity over time. I've got a clear, actionable process for defining and achieving goals in my own life. I'll share it with you. First, you got to turn your goal into a target. You got to identify it with detail. Then you got to write it down and identify why you absolutely must achieve it. That's your why. Then assess your current resources, do self-auditing, and be honest about this part. Also, outline your first immediate step after this video, no delays, and then establish measurable checkpoints to monitor your progress. If you visualize achieving your goal repeatedly, you're gonna hit that goal. This clarity-based approach removes all the uncertainty, the hesitation, and the procrastination in your life. Every step forward for you will be powerful, purposeful, and directed. You see, motivation comes and goes, but discipline and clarity remain constant, and they always guide you forward. When your goals are clear, action becomes automated and unstoppable. But behind every extraordinary success story, all the most successful people know that they've got a set of powerful beliefs, and those beliefs are the bedrock of their power. So here's the most important beliefs that you can adopt and learn from all these success stories and these people who consistently achieve greatness in any environment. Number one, they believe that everything happens for a reason. And successful people clearly believe that every experience, whether it's bankruptcy, divorce, or a setback, well, this clarity helps them all propel them forward. They see the opportunity instead of the problem. And they don't look at failure. They don't define failure as a dead end. Instead, every outcome provides valuable, actionable feedback loops. This clear perspective removes the fear and empowers their discipline. Then they take total responsibility for everything in their life. This clarity removes victimhood and replaces it with a powerful accountability and personal empowerment. Also, they understand that people are our greatest resource on this earth. Extraordinary achievers clearly see relationships as the most important thing in life, and they invest deeply, they respect sincerely, and they appreciate clearly all of their people and teams. No one is more representative of this than Morris Chang and TSMC. He built the entire semiconductor industry off investing in his people. But also, last but not least, they have a commitment to grit over talent. They clearly understand that grit matters more than just talent. One of my favorite stories is about a young boy named Thomas. One day he returned from school holding a sealed note. His teacher told him not to open. He handed it to his mother, and she opened it, and she silently started to cry as the words filled her eyes. Now, Thomas asked, "What does it say, mother?" And she looked at him and smiled. She said, "Your teacher says you are too smart and too special for their school. In fact, they have no teachers good enough to teach your genius mind. So from now on," they said, "I must teach you myself." And from that day forward, Thomas's mother nurtured his mind and his curiosity at home. She instilled an unwavering sense of confidence and relentless commitment to him. But years later, his mother died. And Thomas discovered that old note that was hidden away in the drawer. He opened it and he shook when he read the words. It said that your son is addled or mentally deficient. The school said, "We won't let him come here anymore." And in that moment, Thomas realized the extraordinary power of clear belief and the relentless commitment his mother had given him. Her clarity transformed rejection into strength, doubt into determination, and limitations into achievement. And of course, the boy's name is Thomas Edison. He went on to become one of the greatest investors in history. Thousands of patents to his name, including the electric light bulb, phonograph, and early film cameras. Edison's story powerfully illustrates a simple but life-changing truth. When you have clear, unwavering belief, it can ignite hidden or latent genius. Each belief he had gained its power directly from clarity, and embracing these beliefs eliminates the self-doubt and uncertainty that is necessary for extraordinary or outlier outcomes. Clear beliefs will create powerful actions in your life as well. You probably know the story about Ray Kroc. He's the guy who built McDonald's into a global empire. But in his early 50s, Kroc was something of a loser. He was a struggling salesman. He was buried in debt. He didn't have any notable talent or special advantages. But what he had was a crystal clear vision. And the moment he met the McDonald's brothers, he immediately took massive, decisive action. And he had setbacks, But Kroc's clarity kept him relentlessly moving forward. He understood exactly what he wanted and why it mattered. And that clarity gave him unstoppable power that fueled consistent and relentless action. Here's your practical takeaway today. There's a couple keys that are necessary to turning clarity into powerful action. You need to maintain a high energy state. I'm talking about mentally and physically. You need to clearly understand exactly what you want and precisely what others in the world need. You need to clearly identify your fears. This is self-auditing, and consciously turn them into purpose. And then remember, talent and intelligence alone never guarantee success. Clear, focused action does. When clarity inspires action, your potential becomes limitless. That's how you make clarity tap into your true power. So let's recap what we've uncovered so far. We uncovered how clarity is the single greatest factor separating those who dream from those who achieve and dare great things. And clarity gives you purpose, and then it fuels your discipline into decisive action, which leads to success. It shapes your internal dialogue also and empowers your resilience. And then it creates powerful, lasting relationships because you need people to win with you. And it transforms vague, ambiguous goals into measurable, actionable results. And then it helps you control your emotional state. And it creates immediate confidence and focus where you need it in your life. And then it provides the foundation or the bedrock of beliefs that are necessary for constant achievement. But above all, clarity is what drives consistent, focused action. Without clarity, talent remains unrealized, potential stays trapped, and dreams remain dreams. But with it, every resource you have, your energy, your skills, your belief, they become amplified into unstoppable momentum. And the good news today is that you already have everything you need within you. Clarity simply brings it out into the world. So right now, you have to make a decision. You can continue waiting and wondering, or you can clearly define your aim and boldly step into action by taking complete control of your future. Clarity equals power. The clearer you become, the more powerfully you will live. I want you to take a decisive step. Comment right now below or write down in a notepad. What is the one clear action that you will commit to right at the end of this video? The clearer you are, the more certain it will become, because clarity equals power.